Welcome everyone to Yae Miko Obi tutorial. First up, we are going to take our pattern and cut it out. Then we are going to add some interfacing. I'm using iron-on interfacing. For the outer layer of the obi, I am also using this batching kind of iron-on interfacing. The next step for preparation is tracing the pattern. For this, I am using Photoshop and the great model from Games Fashion Archive. So yeah, I'm taking a screenshot of the model and just tracing out the little leaves and blossom patterns. I then use the magic of a website to transform my exported PNG. This I then upload in my Cricut design space, where I can edit it so that it fits to my obi. If you're also using heat transfer vinyl, make sure you read the description of the vinyl you are buying and load your Cricut accordingly. And then simply let your Cricut go to work. You can then go ahead and weed out your HTV. I didn't record that, but after that you should have your pattern only left. Then you can gently place it on your fabric part where you want it to be, and then follow the instructions and use your iron to iron it on. And this peel is so satisfying. So the first thing I want to sew on is the thin red ribbon on the brown part with the pattern. After that, we can also sew the brown part on the big red part. And I'm now stitching it very close to the edge, and then it should look something like this. Next up, we are taking care of the scallops on the bottom of the obi. For this, I am using the same brown fabric on the outside, but a little bit more of a stable fabric on the inside. I've used interfacing on both sides. Then I'm using a fabric pencil to trace and draw on the pattern of the scallops so that all of them have the same size. Then we sew the scallops. Make sure you use a very small stitch length. Once you are happy with your scallops and sewing, you can cut back the excess seam allowance. I probably left around 3, maybe 2 millimeters of seam allowance, and in the corners I actually cut right in the middle of the corner. Then we can simply flip it over and iron it all out nicely. Take your obi and calculate the space you need for the ribbons. Then I'm going to take this pretty satin ribbon and I am going to sew some loops and some smaller loops to thread the big loops into it. I think it makes more sense if you just look what I'm doing here. But before we sew it on, I would just pin it in place, check, and then we can sew it on. The way they are sewn on is simply by sewing a little square. Then we are going to use our scallop part and lay it right on right side. Then we take our facing, our lining, or whatever you want to call it, and lay it onto the obi as well. We simply sew the top and the bottom together so that you get this long tube. Make sure that you flat iron both the top and the bottom seam. You might have to be a little bit more careful on the bottom so that you don't end up ruining your scallops. Then we turn it inside out. For the last steps, we want to fold in the seam allowance on the left and the right end, and then sew on some Velcro. First, I pin it onto the obi just to check the position, and once I was happy with it, I sewed it. And once that was done, I was finished with the obi.